Here we have our lovely model already with her contact lenses in, and I started with styling the hair into a big beautiful mohawk and then getting the prosthetics down, starting with the faces made out of silicone prosthetics and in cap plastic. Those shoulder pieces, like, they was hard. So I then worked backwards with the colours. So I filled in the gaps first, and I used the Cryolan UV orange. It's in the pan of where there's like 5 different colours. They're beautiful. I didn't realise how beautiful and pigmented these are. I've had these for a while and never even got a chance to use them. So I'm just using a brush and getting in the gaps, really, just filling the gaps. Ideally, water-based doesn't really go well on silicone. It can crack in some areas, but for photo shoot purposes, I didn't mind. It was going to work. Obviously, for filming and longevity, this is not something I'd probably recommend going with cream or alcohol instead. But yeah, filling in the gaps, you can start to see it to come together. It's looking pretty cool. So I layered it up with the yellow out of that palette, and I'm trying to just do some thin, staggered lines, some thick, some thin, kind of different textures to it as a highlight of the kind of flame lava colour effect. And then obviously same on her face. This look, I would have loved an hour and a half on this look. I was working so fast. It took like 3.5 hours as it was, and obviously it's not perfect and things could have been done better, as it always can. However, it was still a beautiful look. So she looked cool as fuck, like she needs to be a marble lava lady or something. So started to use cream black on the face. That is so obviously it doesn't crack on her skin. It's got more movement with the cream base, and this is a Cryolan super colour, my trusty Cryolan. I absolutely love them. So yeah, Cryolan bringing in the goods today with the paints. I don't know why I'm using a small brush there. It took longer than it should have done if I had a bigger brush or sponge, but just trying to get the colour down and just fill in all the gaps at this point, get it darkened up. And then yeah, I'm going over the silicone prosthetics as well, because obviously the colour and cap plastic is quite grey on some of it, and the powder as well from me setting it, so I've obviously got to hide that. And then also going in with airbrush. This is by FX airbrush brand, I believe. Really good, but my airbrush was playing up and being too slow, so I would have liked to have done the rest of the black using this product, because it is more of a hybrid water base and it's more longer wearing. However, it was just taking too long in my airbrush, so I was having an airbrush malfunction, unfortunately. But yeah, it was useful for these bits to get around those hairline and kind of combine the hair into the face. Filling in some gaps, going over bits. I also found it was just sitting on top of the texture of the prosthetic, so I still would have manually had to go in the brush and fill in some gaps. I do love airbrush when it goes well. So yeah, I thought I'd actually stop and do the hair, because I didn't want to do the hair later on in case it splashed on any of the paint that I'd finished anyway. And I'm using some UV paints. Again, I believe some were Cryolan and some might have just been other brands I've had. I'm sure that bright orange one is Cryolan. It's beautiful. The hair went really well. It was really cool. I would love to wear that for a festival. And then obviously black for the contrast, and also to combine the pattern in with the colour. I did white first, so hopefully they stood out a bit more. So now I'm going in with a water-based paint. This was for quickness. However, I probably, if I did this look again, I would just stick with the super colours and the hybrid paints. She did have to wear it for a long time for photo shoot, so it did start to crack and move, unfortunately. But it was just a quicker option for the time I had to get her ready for the time of the shoot. It layered up pretty well. It's just in the obvious areas where it starts to crack, so wherever clothes are rubbing on it, on the underarms, the armpits, and to be honest, even with the hybrid and super colours, that can happen anyway, so it lasted pretty well. So then I'm going in with finishing touches, just going over some of that airbrush just to neaten up and just overlap and get it really pigmented and do those edges. So that's with the FX airbrush again. Beautiful range of UV colours. I went over with the orange and yellow, just so those edges didn't stop and start as well. Just give it a bit more movement, get a bit more flow to it. So here's Gary, the main man of the photographer area that we're using. It's his place to hire the space, and we're doing these monthly shoots. And there she is, all finished. The bit in the middle was also ripped heart. She has a prop plater with a heart in it, so that's the madness behind that centre bit, by the way. and that's under UV light. Absolute freaking stunning. Like, I want to wear that right now. Like, get me in that now.